All right, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about this Sport Expedition. This is 2009, a year model. Sorry, I just wanted to come in the car because it's kind of noisy outside right now. I'm in Iowa, so the weather is not optimum. And sorry the car is dirty because of that reason. Some of the things, I'm going to tell you some of the things I like, some of the things I dislike. Real quick again, if you guys are new to the channel, I was an ASE, Master Auto Technician, until about 93. I've retired from that line of business. And I know a bit about cars. I've been working on them. In fact, none of my cars ever go to a shop. I do anything from computer repair or computer diagnostic to actually replacing anything that needs to be done on my cars. So I rent cars all the time for my work, and I kind of doing reviews on some of them as I'm renting them and just calling it like I see it. And so some of the things you're going to see, you're not going to like. Some of the things you're going to like. If you guys have Ford products, I'm just being very real about it. Some of the things I really like about the car, let's talk about those things first. It's convenient to have the push button start. The thing that's kind of nice with the push button start on this one, I don't know if they're all that way, but it has electronic. It's kind of nice for convenience. We're going to talk about the downside of this too. But it has this PRND here on a knob, which is kind of strange, but it has a push button start and stop. So if you're in drive, sorry, let me turn on the music. If you're in drive and you push the start engine stop, it automatically goes into park. So that's kind of convenient. So that's kind of nice. And it actually works pretty well right now. It does have a lot of steering wheel control stuff, as most of the new cars do. It has a nice easy cruise control with a set and pushing fast and slow buttons. Very nice. I use cruise control a lot when I drive. I just put my foot on the brake, start the engine. This is equipped with the EcoBoost engine, and as far as power goes, I would say this thing is really pretty powerful. And because of the weather conditions, I haven't been able to really jump on it. We actually have decent weather today, but the roads are pretty crowded. Whenever you have decent weather in Iowa, all of a sudden everybody comes out, so it's pretty busy. So I haven't been able to really jump on it. The thing that I do like about that is the power that it has, and it actually gets really pretty good gas mileage. Unfortunately, again, because of the rental that I'm doing this time, I had a prepaid fuel type of situation, and I haven't been able to actually do a mileage check. But I'm gonna guess it's in the high 20s, which is pretty good for a vehicle this size. So that is actually a nice benefit. Of course, the hood's ajar. I'm going to show you a couple things under there. The EcoBoost engine, as far as I see, is actually a really, if you're going to go with a Ford product, it would be probably the one to get. I think that's a great idea, but there are definitely some downsides we're going to talk about in a second. The inside of the car is comfortable. It does have kind of a little bit of a cheap feel to me. The plastic and stuff like that, it just seems kind of cheap. And this stuff is like the finish on this, it feels like it'll wear off pretty quickly. After not too long, I think you're going to have a scratched up looking car. But overall, price point probably is very cheap. Compared to the others, which is typical in Ford products. The thing that I'm not really too excited about the stereo system. It does sound okay. It's not the greatest sound system I've had. I've had much better in some of the other rentals I've used. But it does have a multi-speaker sound system that does work okay. There's some of the things that I find kind of convenient. Hold on a second. Are basically some of the bells and whistles that it comes with, kind of a lot of convenient bells and whistles. But then again, I also have a downside to some of those things. The seats are a little different to fold up. They fold up into all different kinds of shapes. They also have electronic seat movement. Maybe we'll take a look at that. The dashboard's pretty well set up. I liked some of the gauges and things like that. Were pretty convenient. I don't know if this is standard equipment or not, but it does have these things here to make the seats go up and down. I can't do it right now because I have equipment in here. But you have these buttons here to help to automatically make the seats go up and down, which are pretty nice. You know, as far as making the seats go down, it's pretty convenient and easy. But it might also be a downside to that. Might be it might have a failure issue someday. So anyway, we'll talk about failures in a second. Here's the V6 engine. Seems to be running very smoothly. And one of the things that I'm going to show you, we're going to start talking about some of the stuff that's kind of a downside, is Ford products really got into using a lot of plastic several years ago. And so these tubes here are made out of plastic. That's not very exciting to me because these are turbo, these are actually your the pressure lines and stuff like that. The intake system being all plastic, I can just see that the temperatures, if you have a high temperature area you're in, like in the desert or something like that, that's probably going to crack at some point and be an issue. This big Y and all this stuff. To me, that's just not a very good design. And also, these are the pressurized sides, all plastic for the turbo. Again, not a good idea in my opinion, and things that I think that could be a major failure issue. Let's talk about a little bit of the stuff that could be some issues, and these are pretty stuff that I think would be a pretty major deal killer for me. Number one, I've had over the years, most of the time I've had a lot more problems with Ford vehicles than any other cars I've ever owned or driven or worked on. When I was a mechanic, we constantly had issues with Fords that were typical. One of them was the transmission, which I don't know if they've ever resolved their transmission problems, and they've had them continually for the last probably 25 years, 30 years. And this design here, it looks really convenient. However, I could just see that this being an electronic thing for your PRND, for your indicator and drive. To put it in gear, you have to turn this knob, and it's done electronically. Being that it's electronics, I think that there's a potential for a disaster with this. It could be very expensive to replace and to service. Also, the four-wheel drive setup's the same way. I'm already having some difficulty putting it in 4- and 2-wheel drive. But one of the reasons I rented this because I'm going to some rural areas and I don't know what the weather is going to be like in those areas and what the roads are like. So I wanted 4-wheel drive. The radio actually is pretty nicely set up as far as that goes. The Android type radio. And these on-off buttons, and this also has when you're driving it, if you stop at a light, the engine will shut off and then restart as needed to save fuel. Again, that's probably something that if you can avoid buying a car that has that feature, might be a good idea because it's going to put excessive wear on the starter, and I don't think that that's a very good design. So, and also the engine start-stop, if I can get a car that doesn't have that and has a key to turn on and off, I find that better because this is another electronic solenoid action type of a thing. Actually, not solenoid, I'm going to say it's a relay, and another relay to start and stop something that could go out and leave you stranded again. Or fail, let's say you have a time when you really need to turn your engine off and you push the button and it won't turn off for whatever reason. I like to have a key so I can just turn it off, manually and have everything turn off. And that's a little bit safer if you have a problem with the throttle sticking or something like that at some point. You may not because it's all electronic. The underneath the hood, those tubes, the turbo tubes, being plastic, to me is kind of could be a problem. If you have a boost leak under the hood, that could cause you power loss and potentially bring debris into your turbocharger or something like that, cause a problem that could be pretty expensive to repair. The other things I'm always worried about, again, transmission. When it comes to Fords, the transmissions have always been a problem, and we'd be very concerned about that. Ford has a track record of making a cheaper product, and that's basically systemic all the way back to the beginning of the Model T. They were trying to make the cheapest car possible, and they still continue to try to do that, and ignore sometimes quality, and that is, in my opinion, in my experience, has always been a problem with their products. So I typically don't buy Fords, and that's because of their track record. But that's up to you. If you want to buy it, if you like it, and if it's cheaper. Other things that I've seen people have problems with are the window regulators, and these are really very cheaply made. In fact, in most of the Ford pickups, you're going to end up probably having to change those at very low usage lifespan. So keep that in mind. If you have to take all your repairs to a shop, you might want to look to a different brand. That's just my opinion. So anyway, I mean, overall, not a bad vehicle. It was very comfortable. If you were looking to buy it and use it and throw it away, probably that would be about what this vehicle is about. If you're looking for it to keep it for a really long period of time, like 20 years or 30 years or something like that, and just try and maintain it, this is not really the vehicle for doing that. I'm more into that type of thing. I'll keep my cars for 20 years or better and maintain them, and I will never have problems with them. So if you're like me, this might not be the vehicle for you. But if you're a kind of person who just throws it away every 5 years or so, this might be okay. It might probably make it past the 5-year point, but after that, I believe that you're going to have some pretty significant issues that will be very expensive to replace, and this being, I think, one of them right here, with this shifting mechanism. So anyway, put your comments down. Let me know what you think. Love to hear what you guys have to say. I will talk to you on the next video. This is just my rental. I don't own this car. I've only put about 500 miles on it, so it is very comfortable. It is nice to drive. It does handle well. All the things that the new cars do, this car does just fine, but I am worried about the long-term serviceability of it. All right, I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure your comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.